Hey, Kelly Cottam here live. You have to forgive me. I'm absolutely tired. I'm so tired. As you know, the UK MPs went back to school today, and its recess was over, and playtime's over and done with, and it's back to work time. And basically, it's a study group. It's just a think tank. It's a research, and we're the guinea pigs, people. And they play with us. They toy with us. They mess around with their food, and they do really nasty things, and they have no empathy and compassion and understanding, and um, not all of them, not all of them, but unfortunately, they're all only as good as the system that they work for, and the system is emotionless and robotic, and it's 26-week procedures, 26-week procedures. I had a really interesting conversation today with a guy who was coming out of the trades building, and I was asking him about human trafficking and selling children for prostitution, sex, paedophilia circles, etc., and how the adoption fees work and who gets money and where it's paid from and stuff like that. So I've sort of been trying to work out how by the 11th, when we go in, and it's really big, guys, on the 11th, we need you all there. I haven't got all the facts yet. I'm going to connect you up with another network of parents that have got a lot more information than we've got, and bigger network than us as well. So I want to connect you up there, guys, because I think that they can help you faster. It's a community of grandparents, and basically they're really, really knocking it out, guys. And I've been with a bunch of amazing, beautiful people who mix people, but I actually got to meet Alan properly today. I've known Alan like since I've first ever been on the track, and we've sort of crossed paths but not properly met. And we've been on social media. In fact, I've been trolled by Alan. He's blocked me a few times, but today we sort of had mutual paths and got on, and I caught up with Mark. I'm in a lot of shit with Dean because I've got the boys around men, and he's really, 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 really anti the boys being around any male, because obviously we are dealing with boy to boy sexual abuse that people don't talk about, man to boy. Everybody talks about sexual abuse really to girls and women, but they don't really think about sexual abuse to boys. And Dean's got his own personal story, and he's very protective of his boys. It's not personal, it's certainly not personal. So he's coming back from France because he knows I'm going on the 11th. So he's coming back to have the boys for me on the 11th and come with me. It makes it a little bit difficult because Dean is Asperger's labeled, diagnosed like me, which makes it a little bit difficult around people. He's a performer, singer, dancer, so I'm hoping he might get back for Thursday to wrap all this up. That would be really wicked if he did. I mean, maybe he'll come and take a look because he's going to be coming in from Victoria anyway in the bus station, so he might come down. So just watch out for a guy with 23 on his neck and Spiral Tribe tattoo on his leg. And I think a lot of people know who my partner is down there anyway. They've met him in 2015 at the Scots campaign. So he appreciates people who help, but he's really, we fought hard for these boys. I don't think people know my story with Aaron and Faith, but they don't know my story with Elijah and Shiloh. And Dean wants private life for the boys and for us really as a family, but he's sort of accepting that I was doing this before Aaron and Faith were taken, and I've pretty much spent my entire life educating and doing qualifications and going to uni and college and stuff to sort of do what I do. And I've sort of fallen into this world of people who need help and they can't afford it, and there's no legal aid, and there's no pro bono, and I'm all in the same boat with them. So I can keep rocking the boat and I can knock them all out, and I can think about myself and my children and keep us safe. And I'm just talking about Aaron and Faith there, but now I do have two other children, and you know, I'm so grateful to everybody today because I don't have a double buggy. I sold the double buggy because when I was going down steps, it was falling forward and I flipped it over, and I was meant to get another one, but Amber found a car. So we've had a car, but the MOT's now run out on that. So I've got to flip that over. And as people will know, that Dean and I met on Downing Street in 2015. And shall I tell you a quick story? Because I told someone today and they were quite amused, but like, when I was down at Downing Street in 2015, and it was a week after my children actually were adopted, that I'd actually had the email saying that there was nothing I could do now, that it had been rubber stamped, and that was it. It was a done deal. I've not really processed it or gone through it or thought about it. And I have come across the email, but I don't really think about it because it's just a piece of paper and my children are adopted. But what I think about is my children's identity. And I want to talk about identity a lot lately because this is sort of what is causing mass problem in this country. People just don't know themselves. They don't know who they are, what they stand for, what they're about. They don't have their own integrity, understanding of who they are. Tell them that they can't do something or they shouldn't do something. They waver and they don't do it because they don't have enough heart, mind, and soul for who they are and what they're about. So they tend to not do what they want to do because they worry about what other people think, and they live by the dogma of other people's thoughts and actions. And it's a really sad world to live in, to be honest, because you do not know yourself. Like, what's the point? Like, I mean, I paint, I draw. I don't really necessarily sing, but I love to sing, like just pissing about with my kids, and like if there's a song on that I like or something, or I piss about rapping with Dean and stuff. So, and I have done with the boys because you know, I've always read boys. I play quite a few musical different things. I like writing. I love nature, the beach, horses. I don't drink white wine, it turns me into a narky cow. Red wine, I tend to sort of like half drink after half a glass of wine. I tend to sort of leave it. Amaretto, I love my amaretto. Love my shots, anything aniseed, anything with like, I like blackjacks, love blackjacks. Blackjacks are amazing. I broke my tooth with a blackjack once, went like that, and I was driving in a car and I pinged one of the long ones and my teeth went. What else do I love? I love my boys, of course. I love my boys and I love my daughter. I love my partner. Actually, my partner and I this week have decided that we're actually setting a wedding date now. So the engagement has now flipped to actually now talking about where we're getting married, when we're getting married, and like how this is going to work with our family, because like we're both ex foster care children, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But we know our families, and we only both went in our teens, so we grew up with our families and then went into foster care as teens, and then came out and sort of lived independently and done our own thing since. I'm not here to share Dean's story because Dean's story is his, but you can actually go over and like Dean's page if you want to follow his music and his dance and his art. He's a graffiti artist. He's a painter, but he doesn't tend to show people his normal paintings, and I get to see stuff, and a lot of his stuff that he does isn't the stuff that he's waiting to bring out, if that makes sense, because he's very revolutionary, and whenever he does something, he inspires quite a big network of people, and they tend to I suppose at the end of the day, with inspiration comes perspiration, and it's people sweating that end up living in struggling lives because they just give everything away. Even Dean, you know, we both walk the streets, we're both street walkers, we both, you know, make sure people are okay and things like that. But, you know, Dean was out on the streets himself, and he literally like handed his bag over that he had just a few things in, you know, socks, spare shoes, and he took his coat off. It was fucking freezing, but he took his coat off and he gave the guy his coat, and he said the difference between me and him is that might be the last time he has something for a long time. He says, I can axe anything tomorrow because I'm resourceful. So, you know, And you know, often like Dean will have a sleep, because what people don't realize about our lives and stuff like that is we're broke, and like we're in a 1-bedroom council flat, and we've been held by social services for literally like, oh my goodness, when did we come here? Dean got released from prison on Christmas Eve 2016, 15. So we met on the 21st of July 2015 at Downing Street behind Monty. And I'll tell you that story quickly, very quickly. And because you're going to meet Dean, because I'm trying to get back to Downing Street. I'm literally just sitting here. It's question time at 12 o'clock. And if anybody needs to be in that room right now, it's me, and you all know it. So I need your help. There's some live videos from today, but there's going to be some more videos going up later, and I'm going to try and get them up to prove to you on why I need to be there, because I sort of lost the plot and grabbed the megaphone. Something upset me, and I decided that my kids were safe, and I even got the police officers to stand with my kids, not literally in the thing, but to be watching, and they were okay with that. And my kids quite like the guns and things, so and parents were amazing. Like they were sitting colouring and drawing and doing chalk things with them. And these parents don't deserve it. They're so good with my kids. One wasn't, and she got moved, so she stood on my son's hand, on Elijah's hand, and she showed no remorse for it. So, and one kept leaving the gate open. So yeah, and also Dean and Abdul don't, and he's really funny about men. So yeah, if I'm coming back, obviously I'm going to be in Parliament tomorrow, and also tomorrow I'll just say the agenda for tomorrow, because it's quite important, and I think you'll know why I need to be there. These parents don't deserve it, neither these grandparents. None of them do. These kids don't deserve it. That's the thing. So anyway, in the Commons, in the main chamber, it's Northern Ireland's oral questions. Prime Minister question time at 12, which at the end of the day, it's going to be quite difficult, but she's going to be present, and I need banners up. So I really need some help to get a Halt the Adoption Drive banner and have it out the front before they even come in tomorrow. And we need to line literally from Trafalgar Square all the way down Downing Street, all the way down to Parliament, which will be the procession that she takes as she moves around. And we need to have banners literally, but we need everybody's banners. This is the really mad thing about it. But I really want a Halt the Adoption Drive banner right out the front of Parliament. I'm not in a financial situation right now to do all this stuff, and like I'm looking after 2 kids. I've got my 2 teenage boys and my grandson. I run Dean Samuel page with all of his music and his DJ and his art and his graph work, and Dean's over in France at the moment, so he's trying to work to make money, because we literally left Downing Street. He had a backpack and I had a car that somebody had given me with boxes and boxes and boxes of paperwork, and we used to literally sleep in the car. We used to put the 2 seats back and we used to sleep in the car, and we'd have all my paperwork along the back, and we'd have his case over the top, and we would literally just travel around and go to like homeless kitchens and things. And in fact, the goose in Bristol, if it wasn't for the goose, God, guys, we'd be dead, because our family certainly did desert us. Dean was held on remand when we got to Bristol, and because we were classed as homeless, they kept him in prison, and I was left out on the streets by myself. I was sleeping in the car, and some people that Dean knew who lived in like little bed sits or on the streets, like used to look after me and keep an eye on me. People would push trolleys around, used to make sure I was okay. Used to write messages in one of the toilets in one of the community places if I was okay or not. And I literally slept out the back of the prison. They wouldn't give me Dean's number, and I drove in the prison when the gates were up, and I put myself in the governor's parking bay. And when they all came into work in the morning, they couldn't quite work out who this person was laying asleep in the car. They didn't even disturb me, they just left me to sleep. They waited for me to get up and sort of say hello, and they sort of went, "How did you get in here?" And I said, "I want Dean's number." And they said, "You know, we can't give this to you." And also they put orders between me and Dean, not even allowed to talk to each other. So they said that like I couldn't. So I said, "I'm not leaving." I told them that, you know, I'll run around with Fathers for Justice, and I'm sure that they would love to know that a father who's been alienated from his children has been held in Ramallah prison, and I suggest I have Dean's prison number and I want to see him. And they told me because it was nearly Christmas, there wasn't a visit until January. And I told them that wasn't possible, and I was going to see him now. And they brought the police. They then tried to detain my car off me, telling me it wasn't insured because it was still insured as well in the name of the previous owners, who's a solicitor, a friend of mine, and his son had given me his car. And I refused to leave, and I got my phone out and I threatened to go live. They negotiated and they gave me his number. I told them that if they watched YouTube, they would see what we did outside Strangeways Prison in Manchester when Stephen was fallen asleep on the bridge and arrested, and he was released the next day. In fact, I think it was the same sort of evening or week or something. So at the end of the day, I told them they didn't want to riot in their prison and that I could cause one. But I used to sit outside, and there was 3 songs that I used to play. And every time Dean used to come out, I used to have music out, and I used to have a veg garden. And every time I come out of his window, I'd be up with with a big red jacket, so he could see me like a scarecrow. It'd be really funny. But funny thing is, I showed him where I was sleeping when he got out. And when we come back, 6 police cars came round us, and we had a knife in the car because we had bread rolls and cheese and shit. And one of the coppers said, "It's okay, I know who she is. She's been sleeping out the back of the prison." He said, "That's it. We left Bristol and we came here. We found out that I was pregnant while Dean was in prison. I hemorrhaged and I refused to go in the hospital, and then I passed out in the goose, and one of Dean's friends put me up, which caused some rows because I didn't tell Dean when he was in prison because his family told me he wouldn't be able to cope with it. And he found out in not a very nice way that actually a few of his friends helped me out. But that was only 4 nights while I should have been in hospital. But I did end up in hospital in the end, and Social contacted me at the courts. So it got a bit messy, and I told them to stay out of my life. And we didn't really know what to do, and we got in the car and we went to one of Dean's friends, married couple of friends with kids, and I rang my mum and said, "Look, will you, because of the way you live, will you like help?" And she agreed, and it sort of worked out until last year. It started to. It broke down. My mum's gone. I don't know where she is. I didn't know until after. And my dad doesn't speak to me. He's not speaking to me. I speak to my cousins. My sisters don't speak to me. I can't get my brother to answer messages. Last time I spoke to my brother Ryan, Faith and Aaron had been in a car accident, and he was on the phone because I was absolutely devastated and I wasn't allowed to see Faith and Aaron. They were in a car accident coming to contact, and that was the last time I spoke to my brother. And the last time I spoke to my dad, it was before Aaron and Faith were taken, and I was in Liverpool, and I found myself in the car homeless with the kids. I didn't know where to go. I just left the hotel, and I hadn't made enough money that day, and I asked my dad if I could go there, and he said he'd bring me back, and he never did. Luckily, I ended up going to my auntie's, and then to save the family, and obviously it wasn't save the family, and they actually have buried babies if people want to check. They've been fucking screwing the system for 35 years with what they've been doing. It needs investigating, like right back to where it first started. The amount of babies that died and have been buried in the back garden, and you know, children taken from young parents, and yeah, it's an English version of Magdalene Sisters, do you know what I mean? So it's not a monk's place, but it was Christian. It got taken over by government in 2010, and then it failed in 2010, 11, 12. And then I went there and they got like completely taken over 2013, but I lost my kids. It's become a lovely place now, but I lost my kids. Anyway, I'm really tired. I've knackered my hip. I've knackered my back. And as you know, I have vocal cord dysfunction. I did decide to go on the microphone and said quite a lot. I did tell everybody that there was to be no live feeding because obviously my kids were there and I wasn't there to protest. My kids were safe. They were fine. One of my friends is a social worker as well, ex-social worker sort of as well, and the majority of them are people who have physical disabilities, so it's not drugs and alcohol or anything like that, and they were old people, so they were safe, and the police were there with us, not with them, but with us, sort of, you know, making sure we're okay. But I decided to encourage a mum to pick up the mic, but I'd been interviewing someone and it broke my heart and I was really upset. So I decided, oh, that was it. A song came on and it's a song that Nikki likes. And it's the higher you build your barriers, the harder they will fall. And you build me up and you raise me up. You need to hear the song. The song's really lovely. The higher you build your barriers. So Google it. And so I sort of took the mic in the cage for a bit. No, I didn't. I didn't go in the cage. I stayed out the cage. I went out of the cage. That was the first time that I let my children sit in the cage with me on the other side of the cage. It's just a cage, so it's like being in a playpen with other people. So I was there and I took the mic, and obviously I'm a vessel and the Holy Spirit decided to speak. And then I got really emotional and I stood at the back of the cage shaking and crying, and my legs were shaking. I felt like I was going to pass out. I had to come off the mic and I said, I'm going to pass out. And I literally had to go and sit by the wall and my legs wouldn't stop shaking. And that was it. I grabbed that mic and I walked across and I cut right across and I went right in front of the gates and I stood like literally face to face. And I had the megaphone on and I went for it. And then next thing, Theresa May comes out with all the police sirens out. I step out the way and move, and the other parents carry on. And she comes out with all the sirens and gets moved out, and all the police sort of people turn up. And I tell them straight that there are parents here who have been wrongfully sectioned, wrongfully imprisoned, had children taken. It's trauma, and I suggest you ban out gracefully, and they did. And Theresa May's hopefully gone off to halt the adoption drive. Now there's a meeting on the 11th of September, and I'm hoping that tomorrow in question time, I really need to be there, guys. I need to be there. I have to be. I have to have my face in front. She needs to see my face in front, do you know what I mean? And because don't forget, while you're in front of the camera, you've got the 6 guards in front, but you've got all of the audience coming past that are all filming, taking photographs. But also you've got cameras, and it's pretty much running all the way through, and it's being monitored through all the underground, all the services, all the security, intel. It's going through all of those manners, and then it's coming into the agendas and the meetings. They'll have to sit, watch the video, study the video. They put me under surveillance. I don't mind. I've got nothing to hide. You know, do what they want, follow me around as much as they like. I don't care, because also if you watch the videos from the other side, the first person he says hello to is Dean. So, and a few people were around. I knew I was okay. Dean's been a bit anxious because obviously what people don't realise is in September, this time last year, I poked my head up again when Theresa May came to Portsmouth. And on the Sunday, my car was detained and taken. On the Monday, they suspended housing benefits. And on Tuesday, I got notice that they were putting like the house up. And on Wednesday, took me to court for non-payment of council tax. And then on Thursday, a social worker who Dean actually knows and did actually, you know, like knows who she is at the festivals and stuff, but nothing like what she wrote on that wall, basically claiming that she was waiting for him to come back, they would get married and everything. I saw her on FaceTime. I was like, really? My husband's like a hunk, do you know what I mean? Seriously, like he's a DJ, for God's sake. I'm probably gonna get 17 women a night saying they've slept my husband or they gave a blowjob down the back of the alley. Do you really think I'm gonna believe this shit? Like, it's mental. I did believe, well, actually, I didn't. I just said to Dean, like, you know, prove it or not. And obviously, he had to go to Bristol, so he went to Bristol. We left it sort of on that. And then an hour later, after Dean had walked out the door, like, we had the incident and the police assaulted me 7 months pregnant with Shiloh and took Elijah, hit his head on the post and had him screaming, and had like 22 police officers around me and took me. They kept me outside here for nearly 6 hours, all held out. They had me quarantined because I kept standing my ground, so they couldn't come near me. And then they dragged me off, and they then chatted to me for another 2 hours around the back. Then Mum turned up and took Elijah. I fought for it because they were taking it, and I fought and held it. I said, if my son's going anywhere, he's going with my mum. Fought, got on fire and fought. So eventually he went to my mum's, and I was taken to St James's Hospital. I was out the next day. In fact, I was out like early morning, and it was held for 26 weeks. And I was held, and I was out the next day, and we got Elijah back 3 days later on a bank holiday Monday. The out of hours duties called me and said you can go and get him after a few things that we did, and made it very clear we were going to get him. And that's after we'd already been through social services with Elijah, and I only found out a week before that we were getting Elijah was coming home. But I'd already told him, if you come through my room, because I'm a hemorrhage case, so I have to be in a hospital, and I didn't want to be in another country where I didn't know what was going on. So Dean slept outside all the time, didn't leave the hospital, slept outside of the car. And yeah, like I told him, you come from my room, you go out with a jacket. He said, did I mean it? Psychological report said, yeah. So I don't know. I've not been pushed to the point. I feel guilty every day for Faith and Aaron that I can't take matters into my own hands. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to. I'd love to. I think about it every day. Every day. Every day I have some horrible conniving plan on how I could take my kids back. Of course I didn't. I wouldn't be human if I didn't. So I could tell you some stories on how I've planned it. It's like mental. When they were, in fact, I can tell you one, because it was when they were in contact. So I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about when they were in contact. And in Connors Quay, which is a building that's been demolished now, they've knocked the whole building down thanks to my complaints. But the police were at one side, swimming pool, and it was in this dome, and the train station was there. And then obviously it's in North Wales, which is Liverpool Docks and all of that. So I worked out that when leaving contact, that if when we do the toilet before we go, that I ring that there's a bomb at the train station, so all the police leave, and I bound the workers, leave all my kids, get in the back of a wagon in the car, get the wagon to go off. So I drive off in a car, get the car in the back of the lorry drives off to the docks, we go across, me and the kids are in another country. And I went to the thought of planning it, that I had 3 cars of the same old riding, wanting to ride. I got a non-molestation order put on me because it's question time tomorrow, and you watch me get an opportunity and go, I write it on cue cards just in case. So let's have a banner outside just in case my voice goes and I'm no good to you all and you don't really need me and you can do it all yourself. And actually people are doing a really cracking job on the mic anyway, and you've been doing it a long time before me. But now we've got a real chance because the person who first ever spoke out has got bigger, stronger, harder and faster. And now I'm on their team and they can get bigger, stronger, harder and faster. And you're going to be on their team too because somebody broke their gang before I did. So it's been going on a long time. There's been the apology, or it hasn't, but there has been formalities for an official apology for the historic. They are classing it as criminal. And we need to come through for the current because what they're doing to our families is criminal. Our children have been stolen. They have literally been kidnapped. And we have been given draconian gagging orders to not tell you that this has happened to us. And we're just to kill ourselves or become homeless or take your own drink, become the underground of society and just piss off and let the rich have our kids. And I'm just tickling with the Houses of Commons. Because don't forget, my great-grandfather was Sir Lord Pierce, the head of the Justice Privy Council for the Appeals. So, and my grandfather was ostracised because his mother was a maid. So wait until it goes to the House of Lords and wait until this shit doesn't even exist. So it's time that Parliament become a museum or something. Do you know what I mean? It'd be a lovely museum. Could you imagine it? A really lovely museum with all of the royal statues in there and all the royal garments in there. They've got nice little holes. They can put all the judges' wigs in there, all the history shit in there, all the and let's not go to like spaceships everywhere just yet. But you know what I mean? Let's just like remodernize and I don't know, go and put them in the mayor's building or something and let them all be in there and shoot the rocket up into the fucking moon if it actually goes and fuck them all off out here. That would be really good. But you know, we need to reform, and reform isn't even the word. We need to restructure, and we need to think about those that want to be in positions in communities, those that are free to travel. And we need to really be thinking about our passports and do we need a birth certificate? Because at the end of the day, your birth certificate was a receipt for your 1 acre of land, your goat, your bale of rice, and I can't think what else it was. Chickens, I think, 5 chickens. And that's the Catholic Church then did it more to like start thinking about who's been born and baptisms, and it was baptism certificates that got collected. But the first ever original bond code, so if you go on your birth certificate, there's like a code at the top of it, and that's your bond code. So when you're born in this country now, what they do is they go to the federal bank, and then they know how much over your lifetime you're going to drain and cost this society in money. And there's another person within their constituency or world or country, and you're going to eat, you're going to shit, you're going to drink, you're going to be sick, you're going to need education, medical care, potentially have a couple of disasters in your life. You're going to need a doctor, you're going to need nurses, you're going to need a midwife, a health visitor. They can pretty much work out statistically like how much you cost on a basis of middle, top, bottom, whatever, and you know, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So basically what the federal banking does is it prints up money in your name and they put it in that bond. But the original one was when you got that receipt. Actually, the very, very original one was when they used to cross the slaves over on the boats. It was a maritime law. And basically, when the pirates had all of their slaves and they came on, they used to give them a ticket. They were 1, 2, 3, and that started to become like codes and bonds and gold and slavery and moving people and all that sort of stuff. But now it's just so you can get passport, ID, things like that. But it does still have the bonds. The bonds still exist. In fact, I'll give you the website if you want. It's called what's it called? Oh shit, I can't remember. I'll put a video up about it and I'll put it up for maybe I'll talk about it, maybe I won't, because people don't all like this common law, but it's common sense. It's not about common law, it's about common sense. I'm sure some of us still have some. We couldn't live in a world without a name. Could you imagine us all walking around as a number? I am not a man, I'm a number, I'm a free man. And if we all walked around and said, I'm a freeman of the country, I'm a freeman, you're a freeman of the country, our name gives us identity. It gives us, we have a right to change our name if we don't like it, but our parents give our name. In some religions, they'll have ceremonies to name you. As I was saying, identity is important. Anyway, I'm keeping myself up because I haven't come up with a strategy yet, and I'm really worried that I'm going to go sleep and I'm going to wake up and it's not going to happen.